And the big sticking point right now is the fate of the state and local tax deduction. Currently, it's capped at $10,000. You can write off your state and local tax payments against your federal taxes. It's been that way since 2018 and expires at the end of the year with the rest of the 2017 tax law. But there's been a lot of intense negotiation about where to put that cap, going anywhere from making the current cap, making it permanent, extending it, or making it more generous, upwards of, we're now hearing a $40,000 cap, maybe putting in income limits. The big sticking point is they haven't come to a compromise design that everyone can agree on that fits with the revenue needs for the rest of the package and the SALT folks can live with to deliver to their constituents back at home.
What do you think realistically winds up getting done, since everyone loves to also hate SALT caps?
So at this point, it seems like it's just a matter of the give and take on the exact numbers here. It seems like there will be definitely an increase in the cap, but a continuation of a cap, be it 30,000 or 40,000 or something north of there. It does look like leadership wants to have some sort of additional income limit that would be new. So if you are a very high earner earning, say, north of $500,000, there may be additional limits that are new there that could also limit the benefit of this expansion. The other thing that's sort of flown under the radar is there is some partial new limits for those folks who are working around the caps using their businesses through pass-through firms. That's been a common tactic, and this bill would partially remove that for certain types of business income. So that's another thing for folks to watch out for if they're planning what this might do for their tax bill in the coming years.
Hey, Garrett, when President Trump was on the campaign trail, he was talking about eliminating the taxes on tips, for example, overtime, that kind of stuff that really works well on the campaign trail. Is that something that can get done in this package?
So there are several I would say, trial balloons here that are temporary over the next 4 years that would deliver on a deduction for tipped income, for overtime income. There's a special $4,000 deduction for seniors in here, and even a deduction for car loan interest for those payments for folks who are itemizing and non-itemizing alike. So you don't have to itemize to get it. The big headline there is those are fairly open-ended deductions for most taxpayers who are not very high earners, but they do expire at the end in the next 4 years. And so that will line up with potentially another debate about whether or not those are extended. One way to think about that is we'll have to see if they're popular, right? If people find them helpful. There's of course also the revenue costs. They add up to a few hundred billion over 10. So they would need to figure out how to extend those moving forward. What that means is there may be another tax fight at the end of Trump's term heading into 2029 if it goes forward like that.
As an energy person, I'm obviously really interested in what happens with the tax cuts in the Inflation Reduction Act. What do you think, and then the credit phase outs, basically, do you think that those stick where they are right now, or does it get more severe for some of the alternative energy players?
Yeah, for the IRA credits, it's really been a balancing act, both at the committee level and amongst leadership, right, to try to balance the concerns of members who are more sympathetic to those credits amongst Republicans who may have a lot of projects in their districts, worried about the disruption if they're phased out too aggressively, and other folks who are worried about the fiscal costs of these credits and want to see them phased out in a more aggressive timetable. And so right now we're seeing, in the current package, a phase out over the next 5 years through the early 2030s for projects that have not been underway at that point. But there's been a negotiation right now to move that up as soon as 2027. I think that will be the question is to what extent do folks who are more on the sympathetic side, are they okay with that, right? Will that be too disruptive for projects that are currently being penciled out within their districts? And of course, the other thing looming over the IRA credits, I think that's worth saying is even if it does pass the House, the Senate may have very different ambitions on this. And that's true of the general package, but specifically with the IRA credits, we may see something very different, much less aggressive in there. But that comes with its own trade-off in terms of the revenue cost. It will bring in $500 billion over 10 years, according to the Joint Committee, and in additional revenue to offset other parts of the tax cuts. So they don't have a lot of wiggle room there, but we'll see if the Senate has different ideas.
Hey, Garrett, I spent my whole career